What's up, guys? This is Chris here, and today we're out here in this winter wonderland to talk about the worst guns of 2025. We did the best guns last week, we did the must-have this weekend, and it's time to talk about the ones that definitely didn't make it on either one of those. The guns that I would have rather have not had at all, the worst guns of 2025. Now, in all fairness, 2025 was a great year for firearms, and it had tons of really good guns. Even the worst guns of 2025 weren't all that bad, but there was definitely a lot better choices to be had, and there still was a few shit shows. Now, before we get into this video, I do want to mention my Patreon supporters. Thank you guys very much. It's because of you guys that we have guns and ammo and cool stuff to review on the channel, and we really appreciate you. You guys have been supporting us for over 10 years now, 10 years of gun reviews. You guys have supported us through the thick and the thin. I've been deleted, I've been demonetized, and I've been run through the ringer more times than I can remember, but we're still here because of you. And if you want to support the channel, that is the best way to do it. Just go to the link in the description below. And as always, there is another link in that description, a link to the YSS. It is a local shelter in Ames, Iowa. It's a shelter that I've been supporting for years, and they've done tons and tons of great work, and you guys have been supporting it as well. So if you want to go down there and click that link and donate to those kids, I would sure appreciate it. That being said, let's get right into it with the video, and we're going to start out with number 7 here, and that is going to be a gun that certainly surprised me when I got it on the range, considering the track record of excellence that Staccato has, but it is going to be the Staccato P4. Now, the Staccato P4 was the first release of the year from Staccato and one of the biggest releases of SHOT Show 2025. It was Staccato's entry into the Glock Mag Fed 2011. It also deleted the grip safety, gave it completely new ergonomics, a drop-safe Series 80 design, a new optics mounting system, and several other features that made it very interesting to pick up. That being said, when I shot the gun, I actually felt like it was pretty subpar by comparison to what I was used to from Staccato. It did have a heavier trigger, which I expected. That's sort of a give and take. When you have a drop-safe design, you're going to have a little bit heavier trigger. That's totally fine. But where I feel like it went off the rails was shootability. The recoil impulse didn't feel great. The grip certainly didn't feel good. I don't really like the new grip on the Staccato HDs all that much. The Glock Mag Fed design changes the angle a little bit, although they said it didn't. It still feels a little weird, and they had a lot of work to do when it comes to blending the controls on the gun itself, and it was a very uncomfortable gun to shoot out of the box.
It's cutting my poor little thumb up. That hurts.
Now, with the Staccato P45, the half an inch longer variation, they actually added a sight block on it, and they changed a lot of the rear end ergonomics to really fix the gun and make it what it always should have been from the start. But that doesn't change the fact that I paid $2,500 for a gun that I don't even really like to shoot. Now, it's not the worst gun I've had on the channel yet by any means, and it certainly was still reliable. That being said, it wasn't up to the lofty expectations that I generally expect from Staccato. Now, in at number 6, we have the Kel-Tec PR57. Another pretty reliable gun that really shit the bed in ergonomics and features, in my personal opinion, and that shouldn't really surprise anybody. I mean, it surprised me that the Kel-Tec ran to begin with, so I was happy with that. I would argue that I was probably happier with the gun than I expected, but it still wasn't great. And considering the hype that this gun got this year, I was really amazed that there was enough people out there that thought this was a good idea. First, I should say, we saw it at SHOT Show, and it looked like a pile of shit to me personally. I was never particularly personally interested in a gun that didn't have a detachable magazine. I would never carry a gun that has an internal magazine. I would never buy a gun for fun or even shoot a gun for fun that has an internal magazine if it's not an M1 Garand. That being said, it had so much hype behind it, and there were so many good YouTubers that were touting the new feature set that I had to give it a shot on the channel. And in all fairness, a lot of you guys sent me messages say you wanted it. That being said, the gun to me was silly from the get-go, and it's silly now. The 5.7 cartridge is the only real saving grace behind the gun. That and the affordability, but even then it's still more expensive than the Palmetto State variation, which I would consider significantly better. Relatively hard to shoot, piss poor construction as usual from Kel-Tec. The internal magazine is a huge deal breaker for me. The clips that you use to feed the gun have little pieces that you can lose, and they also feel very Kel-Tec in their construction. The trigger was also super bad, arguably as bad as you can get in a modern gun in 2025. So overall, that is not great. It was still reliable, so it's number 6 on the list, but considering the fact that it has all of those stupid features and the fact that the Palmetto State Rock 57 is better in every way and more affordable, it's on the list. Now, Kel-Tec definitely gets an award for most innovative gun every single year. I just wish that their manufacturing capabilities and their quality control would match their ingenuity. Now, in at number 5, we have a gun that really disappointed me, and that was the Canik TTI Combat Smoke. And the reason for that is because it's basically a different color than the TTI Combat that I had the year before that I really enjoyed. Now, it still had all the same great features, amazing trigger, awesome shootability, really accurate, fast shooting, single port comp, cool color, optics mounting system, and the grip is amazing as well. That being said, it didn't shoot reliably, and we actually had a good bit of malfunctions in this gun, which I was very surprised about. It had the most malfunctions of any Canik that we've ever had on the channel. Now, that sucks considering that the feature set, the price point, and the looks are all there, and the gun just doesn't work like a sewing machine like they normally do. So, do I absolutely hate the gun? Definitely not. Is it a lemon? Most likely, but the reality is that we did have a lot of malfunctions with it, and considering how many phenomenal guns there were out on the market this year, and that gun just definitely not living up to the reliability standpoint of its predecessors, I really do feel like it deserves to be on the list. Especially for a gun that's around $900 to $1,000, I do feel like it should work better than that out of the factory. Now, I think the feature set and the shootability of the gun definitely saved it a little bit, but I definitely think it deserves a spot. Now, in at number 4, we have the Palmetto State Armory 300 Blackout PDW. Now, this was a project that I started this summer, and the whole idea behind it was to get a lightweight, compact, easy to shoot PDW that you can put in a bag or put it in your truck, all for a really good price. Basically the best budget PDW. And it just didn't really work out. We got the gun, we put a folder on it, we did a few other things to it, which is partly my fault, but the gun ended up being pretty unreliable with most ammunition types that we used, aside from a couple of supersonic variants, which worked really well. Now, I'm not going to blame PSA for that very much because we did put a buffer tube folding adapter on it, and anytime I change anything like that, I don't really want to blame the manufacturer for the reliability because I changed some stuff. That being said, the project in and of itself was basically a failure, and we have mediocre reliability out of that gun at best. Now, I wish it would have worked out better because the gun was relatively shootable, the trigger was okay, and the gun itself looks pretty neat. That being said, it was very unreliable to the point to where I wouldn't ever bother using that for self-defense or home defense. So even though we did our first shots with it, I actually scrapped the whole video series altogether because I didn't want to bring you guys an idea or a project that I didn't think would work. In the future, we do plan on revisiting this in 5.56 because I think it's going to be a little bit better. In all fairness, 300 Blackout really let me down this year as well, and I feel like it should at least get an honorable mention, even though it's just a cartridge. In at number 3, we have a gun I know a lot of you have been asking me to review, and a gun that I've seen a lot of reviews on recently, and that is the Daria DY9, the Do-It-Yourself 9. Now, I was excited about this gun when I picked it up, and I mentioned this before, but I bought a huge batch of $300 pistols this year. I think we bought 6 of them to try to figure out which one of those might be right for you guys, and the winner of that ended up being the TSOS PX9. The loser of that ended up being the Daria DY9, which is one of, if not the worst pistol that we shot out of that group. Now, it is a Turkish Glock Gen 3 clone, very similar to 150 other Turkish Glock Gen 3 clones that have come out this year, except this one has some, what I would consider subpar features, subpar build quality, and subpar reliability. I didn't like the way it felt in my hand. I didn't like the trigger. I didn't like the grip very much. It looks cheap. The sights suck. The shootability was terrible compared to the TSOS, and on top of that, we had several malfunctions. Overall, for a $300 pistol, I feel like it shot like a $300 pistol, whereas the TSOS was a $300 pistol that shot like a $1,000 pistol. So overall, I would say the Daria was definitely one of the worst guns I've had my hands on this year, and it literally didn't even get a first shots because I just didn't like it.
You didn't shoot the Diamondback DV9 though.
I didn't. The Diamondback we could put on here as an honorable mention. It was also one of the $300 pistols that we decided not to review, and you're probably seeing some footage right now of my wife shooting and hating that pistol.
Well, I'm probably good never shooting that again in my life.
I didn't put it on the list though because I didn't personally shoot that gun. Now, in at number 2, we have the Glock 17V, which I definitely didn't expect to put on this list, but here we are in 2025 and the winds of change are blowing. Now, the Glock 17V was the biggest release of the year by far because of the way that Glock released the pistols. They actually discontinued all of their pistols, which have been around literally for decades. The Glock 34, the Glock 26, Glocks. Many of those models have been around literally forever. The Glock 48, the Glock 47 was released in the past few years. All those pistols are gone now, and they are all replaced with the V, which are basically models designed to not allow switches on the back, even though you can literally already do that. The thing they also did was they took old slides, it seems, and they put them on the top of the gun in order to just get some product out of there before they put the Gen 6 out. That's why we lost the optics mounting system and gained no other features in return. The problem is I don't think they did a lot of quality control on these pistols because we had malfunctions in the 17 and the 19, which, considering Glock's lack of feature set and innovation over the last 20 years, on top of their shitty customer service, the one thing I definitely won't put up with is a lack of reliability on top of all that. So here they are at number 2. We have dedicated videos on the 17V, several of them now, and all you have to do is go check them out if you want more on that. Now, there won't be any honorable mentions for this video because honestly, there wasn't a lot of super bad guns in 2025. So why don't we just get right into it right now with the number 1 worst gun of 2025, the Walther WMP SD. Now, the Walther WMP was one of my favorite pistols about 3 or 4 years ago, the original Generation 1. That being said, the 2025 release of the Walther WMP, they just should have kept. I really was disappointed in that gun. It actually came from Walther for review, which makes it all the more ridiculous. The Walther WMP is a 22 Magnum pistol, which is an interesting caliber that adds some advantages and some disadvantage. The advantage is that it's relatively affordable compared to the 5.7. The disadvantage is that it can be unreliable. In this case, it absolutely was. That was the first issue that I didn't like with the WMP Generation 2, is we did have a lot of failures. Now, it is a polymer frame striker fired pistol, which is good, except for now they've decided to add more mag releases. 50% more mag releases. So here's a couple things we've learned about the WMP Gen 2 since we've been out here. 1, it has 4 magazine releases, which is interesting. So it's got the cross bolt, so if I want to push it this way and really work at it, it'll come out. It'll go the other way too. Now, that's sort of notorious for a cross bolt safety that goes both ways, is that it doesn't work very well either way. Don't worry about it though, because here's your 3rd and 4th magazine release. So if you want to accidentally release your magazine, you got 4 chances to do it. I would say wonky is a good word for the entire gun. It sort of looked like it was manufactured for the least amount of money possible. It reminded me of a lot of Turkish guns we've shot, actually, and that's kind of surprising coming from Walther. Not only do we have malfunctions, not only did the magazine releases make literally no sense, but also the sights drifted as well, just continuing to show the quality of the gun. I would probably stay away from that pistol if I were you, considering all of the new 5.7 variants, especially the Palmetto or maybe the Smith, that are really easy to shoot, and 5.7 is getting a little bit more affordable, and it's going to be more reliable. I think the age of the 22 Magnum pistol is starting to fade, and on top of that, the fact that the Walther had just a poor showing, I don't really see a reason at all to have it. Now, because I really liked the original, it was kind of a double hit to me personally, because I expected a really good gun out of the box, and what I got was the worst gun of the year. Overall, I think that was the worst guns at least I've shot this year. What is the worst gun that you picked up this year? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please help out Oklahoma shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later. I'm distracted because there's a V of Canadian geese flying over us right now.
Oh, that's so cool. They're so pretty.
Look like they're going to a hockey tournament. You're going the wrong way. That's north.